Hello and welcome back to another research recap. My name is Lisa. I am the head coach and owner of Nutrition Coaching and Life, where we help people lose fat, gain muscle, improve their body composition, and their relationship with food. Every Wednesday, I love to jump on here to dig into some of the latest research and what that means for our practice as nutrition coaches, but also for my own personal training, for my own personal nutrition. If you also enjoy research, learning about the latest science, and you enjoy this kind of research recap, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, give me a comment or anything like that. Of course, also, if you have a friend who you think could enjoy this as well, please make sure that they know about this. And let's dive into our topic for today. Today's topic is slow versus fast fat loss and what implications that has for keeping our muscle mass. This is actually once again going to be an article that was assessed by Bill Campbell in Body by Science in the edition of May 2024. Please go check out the research reviews. So valuable. Honestly, every month Bill reviews two of the latest research articles as it pertains to fat loss and muscle growth. If you think this is a valuable topic, you are going to love the research review. It's written in such a comprehensible manner and only $7.99 or so per month. I have no affiliation with it. I just really enjoy reading it. This is also why I want to share the information on here with you. The article that was assessed in this paper was actually called Effective Bodybuilding Athletes Weight Loss Method on Performance Factors and Immune Function, a study by Kim et al. From 2023. Okay, so let's look at what that actually means. So the topic of aggressive or rapid fat loss strategies is super interesting. If a dieter is not careful and if they're too aggressive for too long or too long of a period, what will happen is that they usually lose body fat, but they'll also lose way too much muscle tissue in the process, which of course we do not want, because we simply end up as weaker individuals in the end, and we look more deflated, that kind of like skinny fat sort of look. Okay, continuing on. When that happens, losing too much lean muscle tissue, it sets a cascade of negative consequences into motion, not just the skinny fat look, but also, for example, a suppressed metabolic rate, post-diet hyperphagia, so an insatiable desire to eat food. Your body wants you to gain the weight back. A body fat overshoot, so gaining back more body fat than what the dieter had before they started their diet, which can happen within a short period of time after the diet ends. So the question really is, how aggressive is too aggressive for a caloric deficit? How long is too long to be in a severe calorie deficit? So we're highly motivated to find out the answers to these questions. And in some past issues, Bill had already reviewed other studies. For example, one in which males with obesity were prescribed a very low-calorie diet, only 320 calories per day, which equated to about an 85% caloric deficit. And in addition to this aggressive diet, the subjects were instructed to walk 8 hours daily and to do 45 minutes of upper body arm ergometry. That sounds absolutely horrible. But anyway, what would you think that such an extreme diet and exercise program would have induced massive reductions in muscle mass and other negative consequences? Well, it didn't. And why not? Because the extreme diet and the exercise program was only for 4 days. It seems that when very aggressive diet protocols are applied, if it's really short, it's absolutely fine and it doesn't necessarily affect muscle mass. Bill also assessed another study in 2023 where he was asked the question, are severe dieting practices really harmful for trained women? In this study, resistance-trained females were placed on a 45% caloric deficit for only 10 days. During this diet, they consumed 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight, so 1.6 per kg, and resistance trained for 4 days. Even though the study was short, only 10 days of dieting, the female subjects experienced significant reductions in muscle protein synthesis and lost a pound of muscle mass in 10 days. That's insane. So that leads us to the study that we're reviewing today, and the researchers place elite male bodybuilders on a moderate caloric deficit. The intention was to lose about 1% of body weight per week. The other half of the study was, or the other arm of the study was a severe calorie deficit, where the intention was to lose about 2.5% of body weight per week. The typical advice that Bill usually gives for rates of weight loss is to lose about 1% of current body weight per week on average maximum. The recommendation is based on years of analyzing diet and fat loss research and recognizing a consistent theme that emerges when rates of weight loss exceed more than 1% on average, where dieters lose a greater proportion of their weight from muscle stores. It will be interesting to see what happens in this study. So, who was in this study? We had 26, actually, sorry, this is a typo, not 21, 26 male natural bodybuilders from Korea. And according to the authors, all subjects were active elite natural bodybuilders. They were members of a bodybuilding association, had won prizes in national competitions, and had recently completed a bulking program where they presumably gained some mass and body fat. Other characteristics are summarized here in that table that you can see. So on average, they weighed 185 pounds. They had 14% body fat. Their bench press 1RM was 275 pounds, and their squat 1RM was 380 pounds. So very trained athletes for sure. Now, what did the researchers do? This is a little bit more of an issue here. The researchers placed the bodybuilders into one of the following two groups for 6 weeks. The first group was moderate weight loss, prescribed a diet to lose weight at a moderate pace, and the other one was fast weight loss, prescribed to a diet to lose weight at a fast pace. The fast weight loss group was prescribed a diet that would have them lose body weight at a rate that was approximately 3 times faster than the moderate weight loss group. Specifically, the weight loss group for the moderate group was a 5% loss of body weight over 6 weeks, and the weight loss group for the fast group was supposed to elicit a 15% loss of body weight over 6 weeks. Now, when we go into the details, Bill says, unfortunately, almost nothing was provided concerning the details of the resistance training program, the cardio program, or the diet prescription. By not providing any of these details, we do have to admit that the study is kind of a low quality, but there is still value in looking into it. So the information that the study's authors provided was essentially that the exercise program consisted of both resistance training and aerobic exercise using a treadmill. Each subject completed the same resistance exercise and cardio program, and that the weight loss goals were achieved by a calorie restricted diet. So we don't know what macros exactly, what sort of percentage of caloric deficit, how high the protein was set, and so on. But Bill says, while the study is lacking in several details that we would like to have, that doesn't mean that the study is worthless. There are still some important lessons we can learn from this study, even if it's not the perfect study. Not all studies are of the best quality. Most of the studies we review, for example, also in the research review, are high quality studies. But once in a while, we do come across a study like this one that does not reach the threshold of the highest quality studies. But in this case, the authors did not, for example, in this case, the authors did not publish the exercise, nutrition details that we would expect to have in a high quality study. But in spite of these shortcomings, let's take what we can from the study, even if it's not a perfect study, and use it to help refine our opinions and strategies for optimal rates of weight loss. So what physique-related outcome variables were measured? The researchers measured body composition via bioelectrical impedance, so in body machine, at the beginning and at the end of the 6-week diet. In addition to body composition, so fat mass and lean mass, the researchers also assessed maximal strength in the 1 rep max bench press and the 1 rep max squat. So what are the results? As we look at the results of the study, let's compare what the researchers wanted the subjects to do versus what the subjects did. Let's recall that the researchers wanted to compare a 5% loss of body weight, so in the moderate weight loss group, to a 15% loss of body weight in the fast weight loss group over 6 weeks of dieting. However, over the 6-week diet intervention, the fast group lost 13.5% of their body weight, and the moderate group lost 6%. So not too far off of what they were actually striving for. So here in this table, we can actually see how much they lost, how much they weighed in the beginning, and the percentage of weight loss per week that they were aiming for. As we can see in this table, blah, 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 blah. I'm just skimping over this, sorry. So in Bill's experience, anything greater than the rate of weight loss of 1% over longer periods of times results in a greater composition of muscle mass lost than we would want to observe. He says the fast group lost 2.25% of their body weight per week, surpassing the recommended 1% per week of relative weight loss. Will this more aggressive diet approach surprise us and show that the fast group was able to maintain as much lean mass as the other group? Or will the results be as expected and the fast group loses significantly greater composition of weight loss from lean mass? Well, let's find out. Body fat and lean mass. There were some serious body fat losses in this study. The fast group lost about 6.5% of body fat. So from 15.5%, they went to an average of 9%. Let me bring that up for you. Which is a lot of body fat to lose in only 6 weeks. The moderate group lost 4.5% of body fat from 12.5% to 8%, which is also quite a bit of body fat to lose in only 6 weeks. While the body fat losses were impressive for both groups, we know that a successful dieting strategy preserves as much lean mass as possible. Yes, we want to lose body fat, but we don't want to do this in a manner that causes lean mass losses. If we do lose a lot of lean mass during a diet, our bodies are primed to restore body fat in the weeks and months after the diet is over, and can even result in body fat overshoot, a situation where we gain more body fat back than what we had before we started. So let's look at this table. It clearly shows that the fast group lost 15 pounds of body fat, but also 11 pounds of lean mass. So essentially, they only lost 4 pounds of body fat. The moderate group lost 9 pounds of body fat. Oh, sorry, that was in addition, it's not off of that. That was my mistake. So 15 pounds of body fat, and on top of that, 11 pounds of lean mass is what the fast group lost. So they lost 26 pounds all in all on average, whereas the moderate group lost 9 pounds of body fat and only 2 pounds of lean mass, so 11 pounds in total. I was blanking there for a second. Please accept my apologies. So yes, the fast weight loss group lost more body fat. However, as a percentage of total weight loss, the fast group lost proportionally less body fat and more lean mass than the moderate weight loss group. Again, we have another graphic here. So 40% of the total body weight loss came from the lean mass compartment in the fast group. That is a lot. That's nearly half. And only 20% came from the lean mass in the moderate group. This is not good. However, when we look at rapid fat loss strategies, we need to acknowledge what happens to total body water. Total body water helps us interpret the overall body composition data, particularly the lean mass changes. The researchers reported that the fast group lost about 7 pounds of body water and the moderate group lost about 2 pounds. With this new total body water information, let's examine the body composition data and see if this changes our perception of the study's outcome. We will partition out the body water from the lean mass component, leaving us with a dry muscle mass component that is mostly skeletal muscle. Let's look at that. So correcting for the changes in total body water keeps the analysis and interpretation of the study the same. Dieting aggressively for longer periods of time, so 6 weeks in this case, resulted in significant losses of dry fat-free mass. In contrast, dry fat-free mass was retained completely when dieting with a moderate approach for weeks at a time. If you've been following Bill's writings for over the past year, you'll know that he has changed his opinion to some extent on extreme or rapid fat loss protocols. He believes, or used to believe, that such diets should be avoided at all costs. After conducting research on this topic in his own personal research lab, his opinion has been modified, and now he thinks that aggressive fat loss diets can be an effective strategy to target body fat loss and maintain muscle mass, as long as the duration of the aggressive diet is short. This latest study informs us that a 6-week aggressive diet is too long to diet aggressively and maintain muscle mass at an acceptable level. We do want to touch on the maximal strength component that was measured. So maximal strength was maintained very well for both groups during the 6-week diet intervention. For the bench press, the fast group increased their maximum bench press strength by 5 pounds, which in my opinion is a little bit surprising given that they were advanced athletes and in a calorie deficit. I would not necessarily assume that they're actually increasing their strength, but even better. The moderate group also increased maximal bench press strength by about 5 pounds. So the maximal squat strength changes were also very similar between the two diet groups. However, instead of increasing squat strength during the study, both groups maintained their pre-diet levels of squat strength, which again is more what I would be expecting, to be honest. With as much lean mass lost in the fast group, are we surprised that there was no decrease in maximal strength? I would not be, excuse me, he also says he would not have been surprised if there were losses of strength in the fast group, but with the study duration only being 6 weeks long, it is likely that this was not long enough of a period for strength gains to be compromised from the aggressive dieting. If the dieting continued for a few more weeks, he would have expected a difference in the maximal strength outcomes between the fast and the moderate weight loss groups. Now, again, just summarizing the limitations here, or I guess one more time for the conclusion. Dieting aggressively for longer periods of time, 6 weeks in this case, resulted in a significant loss of dry fat-free mass. In contrast, dry fat-free mass was retained completely when dieting with a moderate approach for weeks at a time. This is the main takeaway. Still, let's look at the strength and limitations. So for the strengths and population, I love that these really seem to be elite bodybuilders and really, quite well trained. Also that they measured the total body water. That's really helpful for just making sure we're not just talking about water loss here as well, and really actually know what the dry fat-free mass was. And then the study limitations, we've got plenty here. So lack of important nutritional intake details, lack of important exercise program details. The subjects were also not randomized to respective groups, and they did not have equal starting body weights. So that's really several criticisms, I guess, here, or limitations, but nonetheless, something just to confirm part of what we already, or what we were kind of already sort of thinking in the evidence-based coaching space. So he just poses the question, what rate of weight loss or fat loss do you typically suggest for your fat loss clients? And I'm actually totally on board with what he was saying. A rate somewhere between 0.5 to 1% of body weight per week, I think, is a really good rate of weight loss. If we have someone who has a lot to lose, it can be a little bit above that. I think that they're generally a little bit more resistant towards losing lean body mass as opposed to someone who's already super, super lean. I do think that that needs to be taken into consideration also for the duration. So yeah, I think that that's what I would add in terms of the second question here. What things do you consider when making these decisions? How trained someone is, because they're going to see some newbie gains if they're completely new to strength training. How new someone is to a higher protein diet. how much body fat they have to lose, how much they have dieted in the past, what their lifestyle looks like, what sort of vacations they have coming up, or how in general we can or should periodize the year. All these things do matter. If you have any opinions on these questions or just in general on the review of this paper, again, I'm going to link the Body by Science and I'm going to link the original article in the show notes. But yeah, I would love to hear your opinion or maybe even experiences with that. And now, before my voice gives out, I'm going to say thank you so much for listening. Also, feel free to check out some of our other content, like the podcast, like our Instagram, where we also try to provide some valuable information. And yeah, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you listening.